on. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Odys Talks. This show is naturally hosted by Odys Global, your one-stop marketplace for age domains, websites, and premium names, as well as several additional services, including topic clusters, EAT audit. I'll just launch this cute little thing that at the bottom of the screen. 300 directs and fully managed website hosting. We've also recently, well, not so recently, it's been like a couple of months now, but we've launched the lease to own feature. So if you've spotted a domain or website or a platform that you think solves your business needs, but you do not want or can't pay it in full at this very moment, you can now do it in parts. So if you're interested in this feature, you can always reach out to our team and they will help you out. And today I'm joined by an amazing crew of classy Brits. Yeah. Julian Goldie of Goldie Agency, Charles Floate, I don't think he needs any representation whatsoever, and SEO Jesus himself, Stewart Vickers. So guys, I'll let you introduce yourselves and add anything you would like to add about yourselves. Let's get things going. Julian, since I mentioned you first, why don't you go first?
Sure, yeah. So I do a lot of YouTube videos and publish case studies every single day on SEO and talk a lot about AI, particularly ChatGPT SEO workflows. And then I run a link building agency, which is Goldie Agency, and we're working with over 100 clients. So that is me. I'm part of the British gang today.
Charles, come on.
Yeah, I'm Charles Floate. I've been an SEO and digital marketing consultant for about 15 years now. I currently run multiple SaaS businesses, niche sites, do SEO consultancy for major Inc. 500 and Inc. 5000 companies, and then generally just kind of cause mayhem and havoc in the SEO community and world for shits and giggles.
Awesome. Stewart.
I'm Stewart, been in affiliate SEO about 5 years, also started a link building agency about 2 years ago. But we found obviously links don't work if the content's not up to scratch, so we do tend to be more of a full 360 SEO agency. Also trying to keep up with Julian's output on YouTube, so trying our best. So mostly daily.
Yeah, and you're also one of the Odys mentors. And by the way, if you'd like to book a coaching session with Stewart, you can do it by finding the link in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the description of this live stream on Facebook or LinkedIn. Yeah, so let's kick things off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
That was a fun feedback loop. Yeah, all right, to kick things off, I first would love to tackle the SEO Vibes Dubai conference. It's hosted by Charles and White Press, like a mutual venture event, or whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be focused on AI in SEO and affiliate marketing, right? So how did you just decide to focus, well, together with the White Press team? Why did you decide to go this particular road? Because there's still a lot of skepticism around everything associated with SEO in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So I personally believed last year, probably even several years ago before that AI was the future of the industry, right? So for people who have kind of known me for a long time, I'm a bit of a StarCraft nerd, right? And I've been like obsessed with StarCraft 1 since I was literally like 10 years old, something. I was playing with Brood War, versus like 40-year-old guys when I was 10, and I was that kid in the chat, right? And in 2019, Google DeepMind released something called AlphaStar, which was a specific multimodal model. It wasn't just an LLM, it was a multimodal agent-based model that would interact with StarCraft, and they trained it over the course of 40 days, and it then beat everybody in the entire world at StarCraft within 40 days of training, right? And that model blew my mind, right? The fact that it could beat people who have been training their entire lives. Some people have been playing that game for 15, 20 years, and it could just wipe the floor with them after 40 days of training. Kind of just blew my mind. And so I started really deeply researching into it and started looking at Python and TensorFlow and all of these kind of AI data sets and models and things that were going to be the future. And then and that kind of put my head towards this just revolutionary technology that I think that the SEO industry has just started to catch on to in the last 2 years or so, right? And so I spoke to White Press. They were investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into AI in their business. And I said, hey, look, let's run an AI conference. They said, let's go to Dubai. Let's do Dubai AI conference and kind of have the first ever AI-focused SEO mastermind and event in the world. And that's kind of what spawned the event. Julian's going to be speaking there. We've got some of the most amazing AI SEO-based experts in the world speaking there. Some of the presentations are absolutely insane. I've been kind of reading and vetting them in the last week or so, and they are really high level. And I'm just looking forward to kind of having the kind of extravagance of Dubai meets the nerdy and technology-ness of AI, which is going to be absolutely crazy.
This is on a yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, so the opening party is on a super yacht, and then we have, and then White Press kind of chose the #1 trending hotel right now in Dubai, which is on the Palm. It's the 5 on the Palm, as the main venue. So the main venue is, I think it's like a 6-star Crown Star hotel or something like that. It's absolutely crazy venue.
6-star hotel.
Didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can go to 8 stars. That's the limit now. Is 8 stars, but that's like royal villas and things like that, where you have like 2 ex-Olympic swimming pools and things.
So 9-star hotel is going to be somewhere on the on the orbit,
Yeah, that'll be the first moon hotel.
Awesome, amazing. Are you going to do a presentation there, or are you going to be a presenter?
Yeah, so I'm doing a keynote presentation on essentially kind of how I got into AI-based SEO, kind of the journey that I personally had with it, and then how I think it's going to really revolutionize not just kind of the SEO industry, but the world, and it's going to change everybody's jobs and futures and all sorts of things, and kind of be the opening act as the keynote for everybody to go through, how AI has changed the world, is changing the world, and will change the world. And then I can let everybody else share amazing case studies and tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. And I've still got a little bit of that in there as well, just for the extra golden nuggets. But the main focus is kind of giving everybody a proper insight into how this technology is changing everything.
Awesome. Julian, you've been blasting content on YouTube and YouTube, Twitter, non-stop. I even I'm really wondering how you managed to do any of the other work at your company, because I mean it's just non-stop content. So you're obviously going to cover some great topics there at SEO Vibes Dubai. So would you like to do a teaser of what you're going to talk about there?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I've been coined the nickname Mr. Everywhere over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, which I'm quite proud of. And actually, a big part of that is down to AI, because we've found new systems and workflows that I can use not just for SEO, but for building a brand, building it almost like a fortress when it comes to attracting attention, getting more leads and sales to the business. And that's going to tie into the presentation that I'm doing now. One of the things that I love about this event is that I can talk a lot about the stuff that I can't show publicly sometimes on YouTube, if that makes sense. There's a lot of stuff that I would really love to show, but I can't on YouTube videos, because obviously it's public case studies and that sort of thing. So there's going to be a lot of things behind the scenes, which I think is going to blow some people's minds. There's going to be loads of interest in AI workflows and tips and actionable stuff. And I'm going to be giving away something absolutely huge for free without any opt-in at all in that presentation. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. Some of my best ever SOPs, templates, workflows, prompts, etc. It's all going to be given away for free in that presentation. And this is stuff that's never been seen before. So it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Awesome. And well, as you might have noticed, I named this conversation, this episode, is SEO automatons and machines. And the reason behind this was that, well, automatons are pretty much the thing of the past, but it's essentially like this whatever object that you sort of like program to do things repeatedly, like over and over. I don't know, just moving or whatever, typing stuff. So considering today the current development of the of LLMs and other AI-based tools used in digital businesses, SEO in particular, is there a way to like, I don't know, build a tool, a SaaS, or I don't know, something like that that would just keep doing stuff for you on a regular basis? You just press a button and it just blasts stuff out at any given moment. What do you guys think? Maybe you've done something like that. I don't know what's happening over there behind the scenes in your lives.
I mean, there's stuff like that I've built where you're basically putting different APIs together, right? So if you look at automation tools like, for example, make.com, Make I use as an example because it's really easy to understand as a beginner. Like I only learned it over the last 6 months and I'm not a technical person. And then also it's very, very cheap. In fact, you get like 1,000 operations for free. And so what you can do is, for example, if you want an AI, an automaton to answer your emails forever, then basically you can set up an automation where it syncs to Gmail, filters all the emails that come into your inbox. You add your ChatGPT API into that automation and it scans through all the emails. And then you just say, answer it like Julian Goldie would. Here's a few examples of how Julian Goldie answers emails. And it will draft all the emails for you. You could even get it to send the emails if you want, but I think that's a bit risky. But you can have all your emails put in draft, but in perpetuity, for as long as you want. And yeah, you've basically got your own email VA without hiring a person or having the stress of managing someone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Have you been using anything like that for your work, guys? Not just Julian, all three of you.
Yeah, I use a lot of AI-based kind of email responses to automate selling links. So a lot of our projects and stuff that we don't use anymore, and I don't want to have VAs and things to manage it, especially in today's day and age. We just have an AI system that if we get an email kind of drop catch all to our email servers, then it replies to them asking them how much they want to pay for it. If it reaches our threshold, then it replies to them giving a PayPal link. If it doesn't, then it replies to them telling them this is the amount and this is the payment link. And then as soon as it goes into PayPal, then another request gets sent back, and then it sends an email asking them to give us the URL and the anchor text, and then that will then go to a VA who will manually post it or edit each edit.
Nice. Stewart?
I think even without APIs, we've still got even just making your VAs much more productive. I think it's one of those things where fortune favors they who dare. Most people are still sitting on the fence, not actually using the AI much. So you really don't need to be using it infinitely better than anyone else. You just need to be using it 10% better. And that might be going to your team and actually giving them, like Julian says, the SOP to follow and saying, it's okay for you to use ChatGPT. If anything, can you try and be a bit more creative and independent with it? And then see if you can come up with your own workflows to 10x your output.
100%. Like, for example, on Twitter, I know you mentioned it, Vlad. With Twitter, we're just constantly blasting out content on there. Basically, all we have, and I'll be 100% transparent with this, is we have a VA with some very good prompts and tools using ChatGPT, and they're blasting out like 30 tweets minimum per day. And then we're reaching, bear in mind, 12 months ago, before we were using ChatGPT on Twitter, we were reaching maybe like 1,000 people a month, something like that. Now we're hitting 2 million people a month on Twitter using this process. And it's like, it's so easy. You can get your mediocre VA, or I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's actually a great VA, but you can turn him into someone world-class, like better than most Twitter marketers that I have access to personally. And so I think that's the power of AI. It's just, you can make someone superhuman.
I generally find those humans assisted with ChatGPT will actually is far ahead than any single software solution. So people are always asking me, what app do you use for this and that? And I'm saying there's no app required. It's simply the process and the prompting for ChatGPT. And so I've been playing around with Twitter. Everyone's always asking me how I do my YouTube thumbnails, descriptions. And like yourself, just built one of the custom GPTs, preloaded it with the requirements for what a good thumbnail actually is. So spoke to top YouTube marketers, got their best practices, loaded that into the LLM, and same thing, trying to replicate that with Twitter in terms of how can we analyze top performing tweets to create the best practices to then say, from my video, from the transcript, rather than just the default ChatGPT response, which will be 10 summaries of the same main topic of the video, can you be specific, pull out the individual knowledge bombs, and prime them in such a way to be slightly controversial or polarizing to really get trending and inspire debate.
Yeah.
And I think if we give it a few more months as well, maybe 6 months, 8 months, and we start having multi-agent models where we can have things interact with each other, then we could have, like Stewart just said with the thumbnails, we could have the entire process literally from one command line. Multiple agents can kind of act in unison, and they can create the script, which will then turn into an animated video, which will then turn into a fully edited video, which will then create a thumbnail, which will then upload it, create a YouTube description, create tags, all this kind of stuff, right? From a single command line, right? It's going to get to that kind of level with this technology. And I think that's when it starts getting to, new heights of what we can kind of achieve with spam. It's basically this is what the other kind of side of it, right? It's essentially new age spam. I think that's the other side of kind of this, because we're just regurgitating stuff, and eventually we'll just start regurgitating regurgitation. But it's going to be like
only 20% off. For me,
it'll be AI inception, right? Basically, so it's going to be a kind of AI upon AI upon AI until there's nothing left apart from kind of
until AI actually becomes creative,
Yeah, exactly. So it's like embedded into brains or something, and then memories and shit.
Well, they do grow like artificial brains in labs, so who knows when they join these two technologies together, I wanted to mention that Mods Singers is right now in the chat with us in this conversation. So hi, Mods, good to see you here. And we have the first question from Sean Zile. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. So the question is, how long did it take to come up with the prompt? So I guess this is a question for Julian.
Well, what I typically find is I start off with an idea in terms of the prompt, and I'll just try it, and then it will be iterated upon. So I think the magic is in the iteration, because there are things that are fed back to you in terms of the output. So like, let's say, for example, you're creating an article, you're creating a tweet. There'll be things you won't think of. And then when you get the output back, you're like, next time, here's how I'd improve it. And then you get the output back again, and then you tweak the prompt, you tweak it and tweak it until you get diminishing returns. And that's basically the process that I use. So I'll come up with the prompt in like literally 2 or 3 minutes. You can see me quite often in YouTube videos just coming up on the spot with the prompt. And then it will take maybe 30 days of just iterating and going back and forth with it and get some new ideas. And then you build on the original prompt, and you might tweak it until you got V30 and it's ready to go.
Awesome.
There's also a kind of new layer coming out soon, which is prompt optimization models. So there are going to be models that you're going to use that when you're writing prompts, it'll help optimize your prompt as you're writing it, so that you actually get that better output in the end. And it's going to be based on all of the kind of prompts that we've input over the last 2 years into ChatGPT and stuff, and it's going to be releasing that. And there's already research papers coming out on these prompt optimization models that are showing 80 to 90% better outputs using them on top of your average kind of human input. So that's kind of, again, this new layer of technology where we're kind of having this AI layering, which will increase the outputs to kind of new heights.
I think that'd be great if ChatGPT could say to you, listen, the way that you phrase that is totally wrong. Here's how you should say it instead to get better outputs. And then you're sort of working together as a team to create better quality tweets or content or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think it's especially if you can kind of tell the prompt optimization model what you want the output to actually be, and you can give it even more examples of the outputs than what you would do with the standard kind of input-based optimization. Now you're actually doing it on the end of result optimization, and it's this whole technology where it's kind of crazy optimizational stuff. But again, I think it's going to be really interesting how it's going to be the future of everything.
I think that's the main thing. Just say what your actual dream outcome is. What is it that you want? Because most of us don't even know what we want. But yeah, way back last year, it was revolutionary when people realized we've got this really annoying character limit on ChatGPT. But you can just say, start writing a blog post. And then once that's finished, say, keep writing. And suddenly you've got a long form blog post writer. So you can be really quite obvious with it. I think we overcomplicate these things. Often it's just stating what you want.
Yeah, I've just been thinking before we had this question from. By the way, thanks for your answers, Sean. I hope this answers your question. So one thing I was thinking about, like automating stuff like emails for selling backlinks and stuff like that. And what about the what I could call like a positive human factor, like because human factor is usually referred to as something negative, but even in the SEO industry, in the community, it's all about like networking and communication, and when it comes to working with clients as well, it's about like finding this connection. So do you feel any lack in this or not? Just what is your situation,
I think there's
guys?
always that commodification point in that as soon as something becomes more widespread and commodified, then anything that's more handheld, more premium becomes much more desirable. So this time last year, I was in quite some depression with the whole, the future of AI, what are we going to do, etc. Even just down to things like Amazon Kindle books for children are just being spammed to death with AI, things like that. And that was on a mastermind call, and they just said we see it throughout history. It's a natural market cycle where things get easier, and therefore the cheap and readily accessible is fine and scales. But then there's always this market for the premium high end. Julian, I know you did that fantastic case study of going and buying a Rolex with your Mediavine earnings. But of course, even if you go into the Rolex shop, supposedly we're in the cost of living crisis, and yet they'll very often not sell you the one you actually want, because they've done this great scarce market positioning where they basically want to cultivate that loyalty and scarcity.
They laughed me out the store. When I went to the store for Rolex, they just laughed me out. They were like, not today, mate. Don't worry about that. I even had to DM Charles for a few recommendations. But yeah, I think there does become a premium for human quality stuff. I mean, for example, like if you look at a top writer, sometimes it's not even necessarily the quality of the output, but it's the person you want to hear from, right? It's like the brand. It's like people want to hear what Charles has to say on SEO because he's got that brand and that authority and people respect him, right? And I think there's still a lot of value in a human for sure. I don't see it as a way of getting rid of VAs or getting rid of my team members. I just feel like it's a way to empower them and help them reach another level that they couldn't without me or couldn't without ChatGPT, And I think with AI as well, it can backfire easily. I've seen loads of instances where people have got AI totally wrong in terms of the way that they post on social media or they're sending emails or they're writing content. It's like this stuff is only as good as a human that uses it so far. Maybe that'll change in the next 6 or 12 months, 18 months, as Charles says. But it's like, it's really about leadership and how you direct, whether it's the technology or the person that you're managing, and helping that technology achieve what it couldn't without you if you lead it in the right direction.
I do actually think that managerial point is really important as well, because I think that if you can try and get your employees to understand that they can now do literally anything that they thought that they couldn't previously, they would have had to come to you for you to teach them how to code, or for you to teach them how to make graphics, for you to do X, Y, and Z. If you teach them how to do anything, if they were kind of new at their job, now they can just ask a language model and it will tell them the exact instructions on how to do theoretically whatever they want to do, right? Especially if you're in a larger corporation environment where they can create their own fine-tuned models, which is specifically for their own internal environments. You kind of no longer have to have a lot of this training and middle management and micromanagement level stuff, because you can just have an AI model that removes that access, and it kind of removes people's ability to say no and say that they can't do things as well. It is kind of removing that excuse that you can be like, well, you can just go and ask ChatGPT how to do it, or you can just go and use this tool or use that tool, and you can have the output that you want without actually having to do the work. So I think it slightly enables lazy people, but it also kind of removes their excuses as well, right?
I think also language barriers are significant as well. So I've certainly found if I'm doing any sort of client emails or leads, then I don't consider myself a natural born salesman. So I can literally take what I was going to say. And now I think I'm a perfectly competent writer. That's how I started in SEO. But I'll go to ChatGPT and say, can you just make this a little bit more salesy, not pushy, but a bit more urgency, a bit more scarcity? And it comes back and you think, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't even know that I wanted that. And same thing with staff, where you can have someone who's highly competent, highly technical. They just struggle a bit on the communication front because they're talking technically in a second language. And I realized I should just tell them the same thing. Just simply take what you're going to say, run it through ChatGPT, and just make it 10% better. And that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for a lot of people.
Yeah, certainly noticed the say positive dynamics in this area, like helping let's say colleagues, whoever, that they get this assistance from using ChatGPT. Stewart, yeah. Go on, Charles. Sorry.
Sorry, there was one kind of thing that I wanted to say that was actually kind of, again, I am always kind of a bit of a pessimist when it comes to the universe and things, right? Just naturally kind of, conspiracy theorist against the... I do think that AI will be a kind of net negative towards a lot of people if they don't fully grasp how to use it, right? That's the only other thing, right? I think a lot of people are taking everything for granted so far, that all these tools are accessible, everything is going to be accessible going forward. And actually, I think that a lot of the new technologies will be kind of stonewalled or kind of behind gated gardens. A lot of these larger corporations will start onboarding and patenting stuff that will stop it from being readily available, and that will give them a leg up and create this kind of inefficiency dynamic that will create an imbalance in kind of the world. And I do think that people need to be ready for and kind of adapt to when that happens, and try and position themselves. That's the main thing I try and tell everybody, is try and position yourselves ahead of whatever will be the future. And that sounds almost impossible and really scary and stuff, and it's not as scary as I kind of make it out. All you need to do is basically understand how it works and what will specifically affect your job, right? And what will specifically affect your business and your life, and then just make sure that you understand it, understand how to use it, and understand how to be ahead of it when it does eventually and inevitably affect that.
Do you have some examples of that in real life? Like
So there's the perfect example recently was GraphScale by Google, right? So the golden standard for weather reporting for a long time was this software company out of the UK, and I can't remember their name. They call it Nexus or something like that, right? And they have essentially in the last 2 months gone out of business because of Google, right? So Google released an AI model that is 2 to 3 times more accurate at predicting weather forecasting than the golden standard software has been for the last 20 or 25 years. And as a result, overnight, this software is gone and everyone is now using GraphScale by Google. And Google has just absorbed this market, right? Literally just absorbed this entire kind of industry of weather forecasting in the last few months because they now have the most accurate system. And that's a perfect example of how these kind of things can just replace entire markets and entire industries overnight without people ever kind of predicting or seeing it coming.
Oh, yeah. That sounds really like a picture perfect. And another thing that just kept coming back to my mind for the past, I don't know, year, maybe more, is that it's pretty much like any other like new technology or any other technology whatsoever. You have to like master it to use it properly, right? I mean, even if you take cars, automobiles, right? You can drive recklessly and just get killed in 5 minutes, or you can learn to drive properly and then just drive healthily for the rest of your life, hopefully, unless someone else smashes into you, or an axe. I don't know. You can chop wood just safely, or you can chop your leg off. Just as simple as that. Even though
I think that when it comes to people understanding kind of this technology. A lot of people, especially on Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff, are literally just putting it down to, oh, all it's doing is predicting the next word, right? That's all this technology does, is just predict the next word coming. And that's not what it does at all in essence, right? It has logic and it has reasoning kind of baked into its technology. And that's something that people don't understand, that these tools and technologies have got emerging capabilities. So they've got capabilities that we don't even know they have until months after they initially have them, right? And that's kind of the scary part of it. And people are just brushing it off as if this technology isn't, or like that isn't, I don't want to say, sentient or like anything like that. But there are glimpses of that, if you get what I mean. So there's glimpses of, Skynet, if that kind of.
Well, they call it machine learning for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Stewart, just to take a step back from AI for a minute. All of you guys are involved in coaching in one way or another, or providing private consultations, stuff like that. Stewart, you specifically mentioned that you coach high-ticket business coaches, and I wonder if it's any different from like any other, let's say, regular SEO coaching, like coach business coaches.
Right. So there's a few things there. People do get confused. So it's basically done for you SEO for high-ticket coaches. So that's my niche. And that basically was a thought experiment on the grounds that I think we've all had this experience. You get into the affiliate SEO world and you think, I'm going to sell lawnmowers on Amazon, make a couple of dollars, and you're only making a couple of dollars. So it's not going to be that competitive. And then what you realize is it takes the same money, resources, time to sell an expensive product with SEO as it does a cheap product. So you quickly turn around and you start looking at what are the biggest opportunities I can find. Basically, how can I get the $10,000 commission? So when I started the agency, there's always the idea of you want to niche down early, and started going to a few masterminds. And there are some of these coaches who are charging $10,000 per program, and you look into their search volumes, and there's some decent volume there, and they've got no understanding of SEO. So there's a big knowledge gap there. So that was the major learning there. Since blowing up on YouTube, I've just ended up taking on clients in all sorts of different niches. And now doing very well in the adult stuff, the cannabis stuff, which is all ironic for SEO Jesus.
Jesus loved prostitutes and getting stoned, right?
That's true. That's true. He hung out with them all
saying,
the
yes,
time.
GTA Jesus.
Yeah.
GTA Jesus.
But yeah, to answer your question about how that actually differs. So fundamentally, it goes back to just what we've been saying. We're all at the forefront of this technology, and therefore we're looking at the tiny 1% moves and always trying to stay 1% ahead. But as soon as you step out that field of expertise, you suddenly, you realize people have got these people who say, oh, you do websites, do you? Or, you're about ranking on Google. How does that work? So when you break it down, you realize even people watching the stream, you're still going to be ahead of 99% of your competition. So there's a level of reassurance there. And that comes back to that idea of coaching and thought leadership. Charles, I actually remember you saying this when we met in Chiang Mai year before last, when you were just talking about done for you services are all great, but for you really appreciate the consulting just because the level of impact you can have for so little time is the ultimate leverage. So that's why I niched down to coaches, because I thought you're not only selling this $10,000 product, but you're also selling this massive transformation. The person who actually buys that product is arguably getting millions in value from that. But in terms of how we actually AI proof ourselves and how anyone listening can AI proof yourself, I think thought leadership is always something that's never really going to be replaced by AI, certainly in the short term.
Yeah, at least for the time being.
That's why we've all been speaking to James Dooley lately, who's building his personal brand, having been hiding in the background doing great work, but not building a personal brand. And he said it was just a bit of diversification from AI. So if you can become that figurehead who can deliver that kind of value, then that's the way you can protect yourself.
True. All right, we have a couple of questions. more. First one is from Kazradesh. What's one failure or mess up each of you guys have done this year? And the year has only just begun. It haven't even been a month. So yeah, all right. What's one failure each one of you guys have done so far?
I think we made one hire where we brought the wrong person into the business, and I realized how quickly it actually changes the dynamic in your team. And if one thing I learned about recently was like the theory of constraints, where you're constrained by the weakest link in your team. And so if you bring in the wrong person, especially if it's like a massive team that's super high performing, that one person can hold everyone back. And it might just not, no offense to them, it might just not be like the right cultural fit, but that was definitely something we learned quickly. And yeah, it's only been 24 days this year, but obviously we had to change things pretty quickly, and that was brutal. So yeah, just be really careful. I think like one thing I learned was be careful who you bring into the inner circle, especially as your team gets bigger, because that's just going to become more and more important. And one tiny little hire like that can mess up everything. So yeah, just use AI instead. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Charles,
Yeah, so
what about you?
Yeah, so I've got a couple. The first one that I didn't see a tweet fast enough from a guy who is selling his newsletter. So he was selling his newsletter in the SEO space. I think it was like $10,000 or $11,000, and I saw it 18 hours after he posted it, and I didn't get a hold of that down because it was like 44,000 subscribers or something for 11K, which was pretty good with like a 55% open rate. So I missed out on that. So next time, be quicker and get AI to buy things for you. And then the other stuff was I let my domain expire by accident because I hadn't got the correct credit card put on GoDaddy. So again, when this is the other part of things, right? When you've got so many domains and accounts and registrars and hosting and all this kind of stuff, billing does become a nightmare if you don't actually have somebody kind of constantly on top of it. And I don't have like a full-time accountant or bookkeeper anymore kind of doing that stuff. So that kind of slipped under me recently. So I just went ahead and renewed everything for like 5 years. So I don't have to look at anything for a while. But that was the other kind of one that kind of I did. It was expired and kind of dropped out for like 2 days or something on one of my main domain names. So that was a bit of a gut punch. And especially when I thought that GoDaddy might not give it me back initially, they're going to try and like resell it back to me for 15 grand or something stupid. Had that happened before, unfortunately, with domain registrars, kind of reselling me back my domain names and things. And yeah, that was kind of the main two, I think.
SEO Jesus, Your Highness. Your Holiness.
There's definitely plenty, but I'm thinking fast. Definitely all the delegation stuff that Julian said. I don't think I need to add anything to that. But I'll give you a funny one. So we're all enjoying LinkedIn, well, all sorts of parasites at the moment, but LinkedIn Parasite especially is working really well at the moment. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny if, it's always the start of a good story in SEO. Like I say, I've had some success in the adult niche before. So let's try ranking some crazy adult stuff on Parasite. And it's fine because I'll create a custom company page and then you can basically post anonymously that way. And I'm noticing over time that my personal profile does seem to outperform the company pages. It's only quite recently I realized that actually LinkedIn Pulse articles from a company page don't even get indexed. They've got the no index tag. So yeah, now realizing I need to go back through and actually bring all these things over onto my personal profile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So lessons here are choose the right. Well, be careful choosing your new team members. Be quick on acquiring stuff. Make sure to refresh your domain names on time, and insert the correct credit card as well. Credentials. And
otherwise, Odys are going to get your domains.
We might. And yeah, and if you want to use LinkedIn for Parasite, don't use company pages.
Yes, have your own personal profile with all the not safe for work stuff.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Kezra, I hope this answers your question. Next question is from Jay Futter. who asks, Stuart, SEO Jesus, shouldn't you be doing SEO for churches?
Can I say if they pay me enough?
Well, it
I will
depends.
do.
If
I
it's
can
a
do
mega
SEO
church,
for all kinds of religious buildings, including dispensaries, apparently.
yeah, all right, that was a fun one. Next
Yeah, they're religious
question.
buildings in Jamaica, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, or if it's like a Hillsong church, you know. Okay, next question from Jay Potter as well. If you guys were to start one kind of agency from scratch with the knowledge you have now, what would be the sell and how would you grow it?
I would probably do digital PR because you can charge exorbitant prices for it. And there's a kind of large number of companies out there that will pay huge prices for it. And that it's kind of baked into their requirements for marketing and things now with large corporates and stuff that they have to spend budgets every month on digital PR and links and SEO and things like that. Otherwise, they don't get those budgets renewed. So that would be ideal if you can get there, especially if you can get into large corporate groups and become like a preferred vendor for digital PR or something like that. You just got clients on autopilot, especially whenever they acquire things. And again, you can charge 15K, 25K a month for 10 links a month, which is just ridiculous. And the way a lot of the agencies go about acquiring them is, pretty underhand and things. And I think that you could deliver really quality work for that kind of pricing. And you can also set it up, and again, you don't need many clients, you don't need many employees, if any employees really, and you can scale with tools that aren't that expensive, and you can get clients that are willing to spend a lot of money. And of course, if you do deliver good work, those clients will just continue to scale up that spend with you as well.
Okay. Stuart, Julian, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, just going back to the actual question, actually, Alex Hormozi actually does a really good video on basically the graph of knowledge and competence, how it's so easy to get distracted by shiny objects and veer off the path, where you've basically gone from thinking something is easy, finding it's hard, then you see something else that looks easy, and you do that, and then you find that's hard. And so many entrepreneurs never actually get out of that, so including myself. So it's only in the last year or so I really doubled down on the SEO agency on the grounds that you can make that 10% better and very, very rapidly scale, as opposed to confronting a whole load of new problems in starting something else. But to actually answer the question, so from my personal perspective, I'd say keep doing what you're doing if you are already doing something. If you're not, I think just an interesting talking point, obviously at the moment we're looking a lot at Reddit parasite as well, and we all need to be buying up these aged Reddit accounts. And I'm thinking, who's out there basically creating farming karma on these Reddit accounts and then flipping them for $100, $150. And it's not something I necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm sure if someone were looking to start a service business that probably isn't that competitive at the moment, I'm sure there's a process where you could start 100 Reddit accounts a week, work out a process for warming up the karma, aging them, and then flipping them. You could certainly scale that quite happily.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Julian, what about you?
I'd probably go into something a lot more ROI focused. So, for example, like Facebook ads. If I started a Facebook ads agency, and then I know Jay asked as well, like, how would you grow it? And essentially, I would just publish case studies every single day, just like I'm doing with link building and SEO, but on the Facebook ad side, and basically make money with Facebook ads for my own products and showcase that and sell the agency service. And I think that way it would create a positive feedback loop where you're making money in between by selling your own products, whether that's courses, info products, coaching, etc. And then additionally, you're growing your agency by filming the whole process along the way. And one of the things that I find, particularly with ads, it's quite easy to pick an SEO agency. It's quite easy to pick a link building agency, and everyone has recommendations. For Facebook ads, there's like almost nothing. I asked a lot of people in my network for like a good agency for Facebook ads. Didn't really find much at all, especially something niche down to say for agencies. So I think there's a gap in the market there, and it's very ROI focused. So if you generate a return for your clients, then clients are just going to keep buying every single month, as long as ads stay profitable. So that would be my play. I mean, I think there's a million SEO agencies out there. There's a million link building agencies out there. There's not a lot of good Facebook ads agencies out there, and it's ROI focused.
That what you, Julian, was just saying, were just saying, brought me to another question, another thought. What, in your opinion, guys, is the most underestimated and overlooked part of digital marketing in general?
CRO, straight up. Nobody seems to do CRO for anything, and it's the easiest way to increase your bottom line and revenue kind of straight away. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to recover 20% of my traffic that I lost in the last update. And like, well, your button is halfway down your page and it's the same color as your background. So if you just change that by moving it up your page and made it, a red button on a black background or something, you probably 3x your revenue instead of trying to get a 20% increase in traffic, right? So I always think that CRO is probably the number one overlooked thing. And I've spoken to a lot of clients as well who are actually doing really well with websites, talking 100K to $1 million a month from their websites and on blogs and stuff. And they don't even know what CRO is when I speak to them. And that can literally be a game changer for some people, right? Because their monetization could be completely messed up in comparison to getting someone through. And if they are earning 250K and you can get a 300% increase in via CRO, then they've just made a gigantic increase in the bottom line of revenue. So I think that's the number one most overlooked thing. And I always say that to everybody that I speak to.
What do you guys think? Yay or nay?
Definitely a good point. Just trying to think what else to offer. Could be a bit more abstract and probably just say focus. I say that as probably the worst culprit at the same time. Everyone from small businesses through to big corporates, there's all this going half-hearted on a million different things. And I keep having to tell myself this: if you just do the one thing really, really well, then it works so much better.
I think, honestly, YouTube is a goldmine still. I think we're going to look back in 5 or 10 years and say, YouTube was so easy back then. I mean, like, if you look at the room right now, you've got, Vlad, obviously, you're on YouTube. Charles, we've got SEO Jesus here, who's blown up on YouTube as well. Even Kazra, who commented a second ago with one of his questions. And it's like, it's such a massive, massive market. It's wide open. If you start today, you can get thousands of views within 30 days. I know because I started a new YouTube channel last month. It's wide open, but most people don't use it. And I think that's because they're not very efficient with the process and they think that it requires a lot of time to manage. But if you reverse engineer the process, you try and make it as productive and efficient as possible, then you can start getting clients from week one. You can start making money. You can make 6 or 7 figures from that. When I was getting 300 views a video on YouTube, I was already making 6 figures from my agency. And I think it's totally overlooked because everyone thinks, it's too competitive or it's too late. But I think the best time to start YouTube marketing was probably the day you were born, and the second best time is today. So I think it's way overlooked. Yeah.
That was basically my point about focus. So last 2 years, ever since starting the agency, I was just constantly traveling, going to events. So hence cutting down on events so much this year. So rather than Dubai this year, last year when I went to Affiliate World in Dubai, I then came back to London for 24 hours and then immediately went to Miami for another mastermind. And it worked okay to an extent. And there's always this logic of, I can spend 3-4K to go to an event. And there's a reasonable, maybe 30% chance I'll then get a 3-5K a month client out of that event. So it kind of works out. Whereas ever since doing the YouTube, sort of realize that's my number one use of time now. That's something I can't really outsource. So rather than going to events and hauling myself across the world anymore, if I try and keep up with Julian and just do a video every single day, then the results are exponentially better.
I'm on 2 a day now.
2 a day?
Yeah.
The main target was you do weekends, and I wasn't doing weekends, but I've just started doing weekends.
You should just. Sorry.
I think you've done a fantastic job, honestly. Like over the last year, your consistency is amazing, man, and your channel's growing really fast. So, respect.
Thank you. No, you definitely set that high bar of what's possible. So when you raise your game, it's right, lads. We've got to raise ours as well now.
Yeah, let's see. You got to raise the standard, haven't you? And everyone wins by doing that.
All right, let's move on. Thank you guys for your thoughts, for ideas. That was very insightful. Jeff Williamson is asking, aside from your courses, are there any resources you would recommend for improving with AI?
I think there are a few good YouTube channels out there.
Yeah, there.
Watch Julian's videos.
Thank you. I really like Matt Wolf because he's completely away from SEO and he's one of the biggest channels that talks about AI. I mean, the growth of his channel, he was barely getting started, I think, before compared to where he is now with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And one of the things that I like about his channel is that it's completely away from SEO. So he's not doing the same things as everyone else. And that gives you new ideas and new workflows that you wouldn't have thought of if you were just in that little SEO bubble of everyone doing ChatGPT and AI workflows. So I think Matt Wolf is one of the best resources you can check out.
Matt Wolf with an E or as a wolf?
Yeah, it's Wolf and then E at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll remember.
I watch every video from AI Explained that he puts out as well. I don't know if you guys know him. He's like a PhD grad in ML and stuff from MIT, but he's British. But every video that he puts out is consistently amazing. And all it is essentially news about the latest trends and things in AI. And a lot of it is research papers and stuff. As soon as they come out, they'll be making a video on it and things. And that stuff is gold dust when you're trying to keep up to date with one of the latest technologies and things. In terms of actually getting better at AI, it depends what you want to do with it, right? That's the main thing. If you're trying to do image generation or you're trying to do video generation or text generation, then each aspect kind of has its own best people to follow or best places to go and learn from. And usually the tools or those specific technologies will have their own Discord community. So a lot of tools or a lot of technologies will have, like Stable Diffusion, for example, has its own Discord community. And those places are absolute gold dust for just networking, finding information, the latest trends, even use cases, right? Because there's the whole show off kind of section of most Discord sections. Just spend a few hours going through the show off section of AI channels and Discord, and you will come up with so many use cases that you never even thought of because of people actively putting it in and showing off their work. And that has been, awesome for me as well.
I'm going to be contrarian again and say there's a big thing about being a creator versus a consumer. So it was actually a couple of years ago I decided to stop listening to SEO podcasts, which have been fantastic at the time. I basically learned most of what I knew at the time from the Authority Hacker podcast, listening it religiously every day on my commute to my day job. So that was great for where I needed to get to. But then I started realizing I was hearing the same things over again and I wasn't really implementing. And I think so many people get stuck in this trap of digesting all this information that's coming out, especially as some of us are pumping out so much content. We're all giving value, but you've actually got to do it, and you're going to learn a lot more of applying it to your own use case and happy random discoveries that are specific to your purposes just by doing it. So yeah, YouTube's great, but that's remember to switch it off and actually get on with it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. A couple more questions. Chris Jagger is asking, given that we're talking about AI, what are the most effective ways you have incorporated AI into your own business for everyday operations?
I'm going to be honest, like every single process that we have now pretty much incorporates AI or ChatGPT in some form. So we have like an SOP, a standard operating procedure for everything that we do, whether it's Twitter, email, YouTube, even thumbnails, even responses on email, etc. Everything is used with ChatGPT. And I think for every single problem that I've had in the business, whether it's content creation, content outlines, writing outreach emails, etc., I've created a custom GPT so that there's a ready-to-go tool that either myself or my team can use. And so I think pretty much everything that we do is used with AI, but then also every time you do encounter a problem, that's another opportunity to create a custom GPT that you can share with your team. You can even share it publicly and train it to use your affiliate links and your funnel links, etc. And it'll bring a few more customers for you as well.
Nice. Taking advantage of the technology straight away.
That's it. You just got to get on and do it, haven't you? Like SEO Jesus says.
What
Yeah,
about you
I
guys?
mean, video production, like I say, it can be a grind, but that post-production publishing stage can be so quick now. So I've also built a custom GPT. So it's copy the transcript, that gives you the description, puts in all the links, all the calls to action, including the chapters for YouTube, then creates the DALL-E thumbnail as well. And then from that, we're trying to build that out into all the sharing and social media aspects. So yeah, something that used to be a grind, even that thumbnail image, where it used to be a case of going into Canva and constructing it manually, or even if you're outsourcing it, that's a process to manage, where it's just get it instantly back from DALL-E and it's done. And it's a huge time saver.
Yeah, the one tool that I think doesn't get enough love that I've been using a lot is Adobe Firefly. It's also, they kind of integrates it into Photoshop and stuff now, where you kind of just do the one-line prompting in Photoshop with it. But it's essentially the first full AI suite, right? So you can do audio editing, video editing, image editing, text generation, the whole lot within Firefly, and all of the outputs are of a really good quality, to be honest. So it's the first tool that I have been able to kind of put everybody in our organization into. So apart from ChatGPT, but again, that has limited function in comparison to Firefly. And it's the only one that I've been able to put people into, and they can kind of immediately use it to a fairly good degree and get good outputs immediately out of it, because it's not complicated. It's very intuitive, and it's just literally, right into the text bubble and click enter, and you're done. So that is by far the most efficient tool, I think, and it's the only tool that, again, you can do all of the AI generations within a suite that basically anybody, from your grandma to your little kid can kind of understand.
Get your grandma on ChatGPT.
My grandma already is.
Fair play to it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your answers, Chris. I hope this answers your question. And one last question for today from our soul. Did you guys utilize webhooks with AI in any meaningful way?
API webhooks.
Did you guys utilize webhooks with AI in any meaningful way? That's the entire question.
Yes, for a lot of different things, right? We're actually creating our own API for Cuppa soon, so we'll have our own API and webhook and stuff for applets and things in Cuppa. So there you go. We're creating our own one soon. So there's also, again, it depends on what your use case is. This is the thing with AI, right? It depends on what you're trying to get out of it, and what your best kind of what your job is. Yeah.
Guys, do you have anything to add, Stewart and Julian?
Not really. I'm just distracted by the name, to be honest.
All right. All right. Looks like we have to wrap it up for today. It was a great conversation. Had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. Thanks everyone for your questions. Thanks for watching and listening. By the way, I would like to mention again that there's going to be an event in Dubai in February, SEO Vibes Dubai, hosted by Charles along with White Press. Charles and Julian are going to do presentations there. You can find a link in the description that you can follow and use the code Odys10 to get a 10% discount on your ticket. So make sure to do it and meet these great gentlemen there, as well as me and Alex of Odys Global. So yeah, it was great. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. All right. Well, see you everyone next week. Tune in. Follow us on social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah. See you around. Yeah.